Todd Monken, new Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator. What do we know about him? Well, he spent the last 3 years as offensive coordinator for Georgia, with the last two of them winning the national championship. We know his quarterback there was Stetson Bennett, but we've heard all of that stuff before. We heard how he can do a little of this and do a little bit of that, but we need to know more. And in order to know more, you got to ask somebody who's an expert. So, in this video, we got a very special guest coming on to help us break down who exactly is Todd Monken and what he can bring to these Baltimore Ravens.
And you know just what I mean. You two team, keep it clean. You see my boy, he like gotta made it. Boy, that's my homie, ain't that right engraving.
So team, keep it clean. Very special guest in the building. My guy, Coach Evans, a.k.a. Sip to Tally, a.k.a. more Sip to Tally. So shout out to you for doing double, working both channels. But first and foremost, before we get into the Todd Monken and what we're getting ready to talk about, let everybody know who you are, what you do, where they can find you.
Most definitely. Well, to start off, where you can find me on Twitter, I'm Coach Evans9. On Instagram, IG and TikTok is Sip to Tally Films, and what I do is I just break down film. I talk about what goes on outside a little bit. For the most part, I'm a film guy. Coach for 20 years, and kind of do the same thing that I would do with the players for the Ravens. I just take what the film tells me and try to paint a story and tell a story about it. But I love doing it. I got a more Sip to Tally, which you just mentioned. That channel is for the 31 other teams. Like, I'm for the streets on that channel, but for regular Sip to Tally Films, it's all about Ravens.
All right, and I have everything linked down below in the description so y'all can check it out. Now, the Ravens, they just announced the new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, from Georgia. And just to get straight into it, what does Todd Monken bring to the table for the Baltimore Ravens? How can he help them improve? What are his specialties? What does he maybe not do so well? Tell us about Todd Monken.
And from my knowledge of Todd Monken, he adapts to whatever the situation is around him. He's coached in a wide open spread offense at Oklahoma State, to what we all know recently as the power game at Georgia, using multiple tight ends. And a lot of people are stuck in that mind frame that he's just a multiple tight end guy. But if you really go back and look at it and just look at the offenses and the places he's worked, he's not all that. And I really took it back in my video yesterday. I started at LSU. That's when I met him, like, personally, and I went forward. And it's not always just tight end stuff. It's the spread from college, it's the pro stuff, it's what he did in the one season in Cleveland with Chubb and Odell and Jarvis Landry. The guy puts up numbers with what he has. Now, the records don't always manage up, but he puts up numbers with what he has. And the 3 years he spent at where I got my undergrad degree at Southern Miss, took them from the year before he got there, they were 0-12. His first year they were 1-11. Second year they were 3-9. Last year they were 9-3, and that led him to get the Tampa Bay job.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, all right. And do you think that what would you say? How would you feel about, or how do you feel? Excuse me, about him having both college and NFL experience? Do you think that like gives him a heads up or a leg up with everything?
I think it does, because a lot of the college concepts are starting to make their way to the NFL, and not everything from college, because a lot of stuff you can't do because of the speed of the game. But a lot of the concepts you're starting to see in the traditional spread offense that didn't even stand a chance to make it to the pro game or making their way there. A lot of stuff we did when I first started coaching back in 05, 06, it was just straight 4 wide receivers every play. You didn't see that stuff in NFL, but a lot of the stuff is starting to come in there. You see the key screens, you see the bubbles, all that stuff is starting to go from the college game to the pro game. And for him to have experience in both areas, I feel like that can be a perfect mesh of ideas. Putting the pro game and then adding some of the concepts that work in the college game in that. And also, with younger guys, if you have some of that college experience, that terminology can kind of fit with them. And it, with him being for UGA, with the young guys, he's gonna have instant credibility. Now he may have to earn it with some of the older guys, but with the year 1, year 2, maybe year 3 guys, his credibility is instant because of what he did the last 3 years.
That's a good point. Now, we don't know what the situation is going to be with Lamar Jackson. But just let's just say Lamar Jackson is the quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens this upcoming season. How can Monken help improve Lamar Jackson? How can he just continue to evolve his game?
So pending Lamar's being there, think about what we get in free agents in the draft. If we get creditable wide receivers or a wide receiver or a number one in free agency and or the draft, I think we'll see more of a balanced team, more of a, like 11 personnel a lot, and then you get your run mixed in with your pass, and you get your play action shots and stuff like that. And maybe not as much 42 in motion, but if he does not, if we don't get a top tier receiver, or we draft somebody and they just don't end up working out, it's proven he can run the two tight end stuff because of what he had at Georgia.
Okay.
And just from my little research, Bowers, he'll be a junior this year, as a freshman and as a sophomore, he led the team in receiving. That's Brock Bowers, I think, the freshman tight end at UGA, not the big tall one. I think he's number 19. He led the team in receiving both years. And then last year they had a guy number 84 who you wouldn't even know it if you saw him walking by you. He was their leading receiver. So he's got nothing from the edge players to get all that production he has in Georgia. It's been he throw to the backs, which is what we don't see a lot of,
right.
And you get that production from the backs and the tight ends. But you think about to what he's done in the past. Justin Blackman, I know that's a name everybody remembers.
Oh yeah, from the Jaguars, right?
Monken was his OC. So at Oklahoma State in 2011, Justin Blackman had 1,522 yards, and Brandon Wheaton threw for 4,700 yards.
Oh, the quarterback.
Then the next year he had a running back that ran for 1,400 yards, and a new quarterback that threw for right under 3,000 yards, right at 3,000 yards. So he's been in both systems to do both things. It just depends on what he has around him, in my opinion.
Okay. So it sounds like Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely and whatever other tight ends the Ravens end up assembling this year, Charlie Kolar, sound like they would really be happy with a Todd Monken.
I think so, definitely. And I think they're gonna be happy either way. If we get an outside guy or not, it just depends on if we get a rookie. It's gonna be tough for him to get on the field with Harbaugh. That's why I think we got to get somebody in free agency to come in and that can play, and we'll open it up. Because all we need is I think all we need is a deep threat guy, a guy that can blow the top off of it. Because Andrews, Likely, Bateman, them guys can work the underneath stuff. But you got to have a guy that can just threaten you to make you play too high. If we can get teams to play too high, we can run the ball, we can throw the quick passing game, and do whatever else we want to do all day long. But we got to get a guy that can take the top off of it. And we just didn't have that guy last year. We thought it was D-Jack, but one play, he out.
You talked about balance with Monken, and that could be an expectation that we could have for the offense moving forward. Now we know what improvements the Ravens need to make with the passing game, but in the running game, a J.K. Dobbins, do you think that under Monken, like he could finally be the Baltimore Ravens' true feature back?
I think so. And even if he's not, Monken has proven to give enough carries to two backs where they can be, damaging. You look at Zamir White and James Cook, both rookies this year, and both played on Monken last year. Last year together they had like 1,600 yards total. Year before that, when they were sophomores, both they had a little over 1,100 yards. So if Gus is there, the potential for both of them to be successful is there. But I think if you want to just say go all in on JK, I think you could push a 1,500 yard season. Definitely. Especially if you get a guy, we can get a guy it all gonna really go together. It depends on what kind of wide receiver we get that can stretch the field. If we get a guy that can stretch it and put him in too high, the run game will eat. Because you got to defend 11 on 11, and you always got to defend that threat of Lamar too. So JK should have holes on top of holes, because you can't just close in that one side of the defense.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I've been hearing a lot of people say, well, he was at Georgia the last 2 seasons. The last 3 seasons, excuse me, but won the last 2 national championships. But we know for college, like it's easy for the best team to be way up there and the worst team to be like way down there. But the NFL, the best and worst team are a lot closer than they are in college. How do you look at that? how do you look at, okay, well, he was the coach for Georgia, and yeah, he had a nice roster because all the players that went there and whatnot. How do you look at that versus what the Ravens can present to him?
Stetson Bennett.
Okay.
Stetson Bennett was a Heisman finalist. Now, granted, he is probably old enough to be some of them kids' uncle, but still, Stetson Bennett was a Heisman finalist up under Todd Monken. Now, they never, in those 3 years, they hadn't had a great outside guy other than Pickens. And he was hurt for a good little bit of that. But their go-to receivers have been tight ends and throwing to Cook and Zamir White, and Swift was gone then, but throwing that backs out the backfield. Now, granted, do they have the best defense? They do. They do. And he even took, I think, Jalen Carter, who's suspected to be the #1 draft pick, came there as a tight end under Monken. Had a touchdown catch and whatnot his freshman year. So you're getting guys like that. So think about Jalen Carter in that tight end room with number 19 and 0 for Georgia. How crazy would that be? But still, it's going to work. I think it's going to work out because there's no set no set scheme that he has to run. I think he has enough in his toolbox to fit whatever the GM gives him.
Okay.
Pending Lamar being there. I think Lamar is the main domino. I think, getting Lamar back is the first piece to him being successful. Then secondly, finding a receiver that can stretch the defense. And then I think the rest of it will fall into play because I think we got enough offensively to make a run with everybody being healthy. I think Stanley's going to be a lot better than he was last year. Coming on a whole year off that ankle injury and a whole off season to kind of rest it and get it stronger again. And he didn't play bad, but I think he'll be better. I think Linderbaum will be better. I think he'll be stronger. With yet to be seen what's going to happen at the guards and the other right tackle. But, I think as a whole, we'll be all right O-line wise. I like JK bouncing back because when he came back from that injury, his vision was different. It's like he had night vision or something because his cuts weren't as quick as they used to be, but he could anticipate stuff being open before it got there. And he was hitting it just like he still had them good cuts. So wait till the cuts come back.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice, man. And with JK, when he initially came back, he looked straight. He looked straight, but then he went and got the little cleanup surgery and whatnot. Then he came back again, and he was like a whole nother JK. He was moving, man. But he wasn't even full speed, but he was still moving. So yeah, I'm looking forward to JK, like a healthy JK, and really, hopefully, a healthy everybody. True. Now, we appreciate all your insight on Todd Monken. But I know you shared it on your channel, but just for all the team, keep it clean. You got a sort of special story about Todd Monken that we all want to hear about.
So I met him in 2005. And like I was telling you before we came on, that when you go to these coaching clinics or go sit in on a coaching staff, like they allow you to do it. Normally you're really just in the back of the room while they're having meetings with their players or whatnot. And, when they players leave, they'll talk to you for 10 or 15 minutes. And if you say, hey, coach, do you mind sending me those cut ups so I can kind of study it more or whatnot? And they all say, yeah, they all do. They'll take your number down, put it on a sticky note or whatever, and kind of blow you off. And they may not intentionally forget, but they're so busy that they forget. Right. He is one of two dudes that did not forget. In my 20 years of being a coach and going to clinics and sitting down with staffs, he actually, followed up on it, sent me what I asked for probably about 2 weeks later. And for that, he has always had a special place as a stand-up dude to me. And so that's, I kind of vouch for him on that level because to me, that's doing what, like you said, just doing what you say you're going to do. Yeah. You said you was going to commit to something and you did it. And it's a little thing. Thing is details. Details win games in the NFL. And we know that. And even though that don't have anything to do with what he got going on with the Ravens, that lets me know mentally kind of his thought process of kind of trying to do what he say he gonna do or doing little things to the little people that'll build you up. So I mean, he'll come in and probably have praise for like the people that clean the office and the cafeteria workers. I mean, he ain't gonna just be a bad person to them.
Yeah, and that's important. That's important. Just being good to the bigger people or more important people, whatever, in the facility, but also the less important people. Yep. Even though I can't even say more important or less important because everybody's important because everybody plays their role. But yeah, that's really important. And yeah, like we talked about, letting your yes mean yes, doing what you said you were gonna do. So Appreciate you, Coach. Appreciate you breaking it down on what we can expect from Todd Monken, and letting everybody know all the details, the little stuff, and the big stuff as well. So before we get out of here, let everybody know one more time where they can find you at.
On Twitter, it's Coach Evans9. On Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, it's Sip the Tally Films. And don't forget about the new channel, More Sip the Tally. And that's for just general ball. You don't have to be a fan of any team. Just come over there and learn about ball.
There we go. So appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for coming on. Team Keep It Clean. All of his stuff, everything. The new channel, the older channel, the TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. It'll all be down below in the description. So make sure y'all check it out. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Coach, thank you again.
Appreciate it. Team Keep It Clean.
Yeah, this feels like a dream.